Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be creating a Telegram bot AI girlfriend. I know that's a mouthful, but essentially what we're going to be creating is a Telegram bot that replies using the power of AI. For our AI model, we're going to be using the OpenAI model, the same one that ChatGPT uses. We're going to generate a token from the OpenAI site, and then we'll generate a token from Telegram, and we're going to use all of that to do this. Now, let's log into our OpenAI app. Once we go to the app, we click on API. And then we go to the menu on the top right. We click on View API Keys. And then we go ahead and create a new key. We're going to throw in a name, whatever name that's descriptive enough for us. In this case, we're just going to use a simple name. And then we click Create. This is going to give us a key, which we'll copy and keep for safekeeping. We're going to use this in our app. I'm going to go ahead and delete this as I'm not going to be using this after this video. In order for us to be able to create a bot, we need to go to Telegram, search for BotFather, and when you interact with BotFather, it's going to tell you a bunch of things it can do. So it can help you create a new bot, it can help you edit bots, manage bots. For our use case, what we would want to do is to make a new bot. So we say new bot, and it's going to ask us what we want to call the bot. So for example, let's call the bot our girlfriend, for example, and we give it that, and it says good, let's choose a username for your bot. So we will just call this our girlfriend and say bot. And unfortunately this username has been taken, so I'll say our girlfriend tutorial bot. So it creates the bot and it gives us a token. This token is what we would use to access our bot. That's what we'll use to have any conversations or access the API to interact with our bot. So now that we're done creating our token from BotFather, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a directory and initialize our project. So I'm going to call my project virtual girl, and I'm going to navigate into virtual girl once I make that. And the next step will be to initialize a simple node app. I'm going to stick to the default. There's nothing, you can fill in any of these if you want to, but the defaults are fine by me. I'm going to clear my screen there. And then the next step is going to be installing some of the dependencies that we're going to be working with. The first dependency being the node Telegram bot API. So we're going to say node Telegram bot API. And what this does for us is this makes it easy for us to use wrappers that are already pre-made for our bot instead of writing API calls directly to Telegram itself. This already wraps all of that for us, making it easy and simple for us to get started. So we install this. After we're done installing this, the next thing we want to install, I'm going to install NodeMon just to help us with our development environment, running this in dev and helping us reload the script. After that, I'm going to install .env, and that's going to let us use an env file to get the token and also the langchain token that we need. So I'm going to install that. Once that is done, something else I'm going to install is going to be langchain. So langchain is what we're going to use to talk to our OpenAI model or our OpenAI AI system, and this is what is going to prepare the response based off of what the user has imputed in the message to our girlfriend. So we're going to install that. I'll hit enter. It will take a while, but that should be all we need to get started. And in case you get this error here, it says that you require a node greater than 18 to be able to use langchain. I normally use MVM. I could just say MVM use 18. And because I have NVM installed, that's just going to make sure that for this project, I'm using version 18 of Node.js. And once we have this, we're going to go ahead and open up this in Visual Studio Code. Now that we've opened up Visual Studio Code, I'll go ahead and create an M file. And in this M file, this is where we're going to put our bot token that we've gotten from botfather. So we'll put in our token here. I'll use a placeholder, but this is where you put in your token. And then for our OpenAI token, we're going to say OpenAI key. We're going to put this here. Langchain is going to need that. And once we're done with this, we're going to go to our package.json, and then we're going to create a bunch of scripts. So the first thing we want to do is create a start script. For our start script, we're going to say node index.js. We're going to create that file shortly. And then the next thing we want to do is for our dev, instead of calling node directly, we're going to say nodemon index.js. And that's all we need to do in the package.json. For the index file, we're going to quickly make an index file. And this is all we need to properly get our app up and running. In order for us to start using the Telegram bot API that we installed, we're going to quickly call that here. I'm going to say Telegram bot, and we're going to require it from our package. And our package is called Node Telegram bot API. Something else we're going to need is we're going to need our .env, and that's going to bring in all the environment variables that we've set up in our env file. And to do that, I'm just going to say require, and we're going to say .env, and then all we have to do is say config. And that's going to make sure our env variables are in here. To map that to variables, we're going to say token here, and that's going to pull whatever is called token in our env file. And then we'll say OpenAI key, so that this grabs our OpenAI key for us. And this should be available in process.env right now. So that makes it available in our env file. The first step is to create a new bot instance. So we want to create a new bot instance here. And the way we do that using that package is we say bot equal to, we say new Telegram bot, and then it requires a bunch of things. So it requires our token, which we have here as token, and then it has options. The only option that we're interested in right now would be polling. So polling is it's going to keep checking, do we have anything? Is someone messaging with any updates for us? So we set that to true. And the next thing we want to do is we want to listen for our start command. So every time someone interacts with our bot or interacts with the bot for the first time, they have to hit /start, and we can do a bunch of initialization there. Sometimes this is where we want to get information about who's sending us a message, who's interacting with this, if there are any setup we want to do. So in the case where your virtual girlfriend, you need people to make a payment or set up a subscription, this is the point where when they first interact, you want to check your database, add an entry to database, send an email, collect data, whatever you would like to do. So what we want to do is we want to listen for that here, and we're going to say bot.onText. So once we get text, we want to also like use regex to filter and make sure that the text matches /start. So we say start. So if it matches this, and this is just regex for saying if this matches start, we're going to get a message here. I'll use MSG. And what we want to do is get that value of that message and pull out some information out of it. So one information we can pull out of it is chat ID. And this chat ID is going to be unique to our user and this bot. So we'll say message.chat.id. And this is going to give us the ID of the user. We can use this in our database. We can use this to identify which chat session this is and other details. The next thing we want to do is when somebody sends message to our virtual girlfriend for the first time, we want to reply them. So we need that chat ID we just pulled out of here, and then whatever message we want to tell them. So this can be our welcome message. This can be anything. In our case, we'll say, hello, I am your virtual girlfriend. And we can also add, what do you want to talk about? And what's going to happen is immediately we start our chat with this, we're going to get this message from the bot asking us what we want to talk about. But that's not all. We also need to listen for when someone replies. So we're going to say listen for replies. And this is going to be text. We can listen for different types of reply, maybe a picture. If we want to advance this, let me know if you want me to build a bot where we can respond with pictures, we can respond with images, we can respond with voice. That's also something that'll be interesting to build. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to listen for on text again. And this time we're not using regex. We're just saying we want to know if this is text. So if this is text, the same thing, we're going to get a message, and then we want to pass that message, and we pull out our chat ID. So same thing, each message is going to have a chat, and we get the ID out of it. So the next thing is we want to get out that text that the user sent. So this is going to be message.text, and this is going to give us the text that the user sent. We can validate that we actually have something and it's not empty. So we can say if the user sent a text, and then this is where, based off of the text they sent, we can send this to, say, our GPT model, and our GPT model will generate a response and send back. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to echo back what they sent. So we're going to say send message, and whatever the user sent to us, we're just going to reply them back with what they sent. So we're going to just send back the text for now, and we're going to implement using langchain to get this reply. So this is the foundation of what we need to have set up. I'm just going to log to console here when our bot starts running. So I'll say bot is running, and let's test this and see if it works. Do not forget to put in your token and your OpenAI key. Without your token, you wouldn't be able to start this app, so make sure you have that. Let's test it. And now we're going to start our app by running npm run dev. And we have bot is running, which is good. And here we're going to go ahead and click our bot. So we have no messages yet. We're going to click on start. And we see that it gets, hello, I am your virtual girlfriend. What you want to talk about? We do have the start here because we're echoing out anything we send. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, how are you? And we should get back the same thing. So we're good now. We're echoing what we've received. The next step is going to be using langchain, connecting to OpenAI and using their model to reply to this message. So let's do that. Now that we have our bot working, the next step would be to create the langchain module. So I'm going to create this and call this ai.js. And essentially what we want to do here is create a function that we can call and that will reach out to the OpenAI model, which is similar to the one ChatGPT uses, or the GPT model. And it's going to send our request to it and get a response. And then we forward that response to the user itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to initialize all the things we need to get this done. So first and foremost, we need to require our .env. We're going to require the OpenAI key that we set up previously. So the same thing, we say config, and then I'm just going to pull that key here and I'll call it, it's called OpenAI key. So I'll keep the name the same and that should be available in our process.env. And that's the first thing we want to do. So the way LangChain works is that we can create things called a prompt template. And essentially what you want to do is you want to condition your AI or prompt them in a certain way, tell them what you want them to do. And that's essentially what prompt templates are going to help us do. So we'll create a template, and in our template, we're going to describe what we want our AI model to do. We're going to tell it what we want it to become, since they're general purpose models. So we'll say that you're an AI girlfriend, and let's say you're very chatty. So you're very chatty and caring, and we'll say reply your boyfriend in the most human way possible. And I can type today. So we say human way possible. And something else we want to add is we want to add a bit of history. And what this history is going to do for us is it's going to make our AI remember previous messages that we've sent. So once we've created that, we're going to create a second template, and this is going to be, we'll call this human template. So this is going to be a template of our message that we're going to send to our AI. So the template, we're going to just make it boyfriend, and then whatever our chat input is. So whatever we input from our Telegram bot, that's what we'll get here. Now we're going to create the chat prompt template, and to do that, we'll create a new instance of what we'll call chat prompt, and it's going to be a chat prompt template. We need to import that from langchain, and to import that, what we're going to do is we can either go to the top of our code and import that. So we can say import, and we'll say import chat template, and this is normally in, we'll require this from langchain prompts. So this is going to live somewhere in langchain prompts, and we should be able to import this. So we're going to use a template from messages, and we're going to pass in two things to our template. So we want to pass in a system message, and our system message is essentially going to be our template, our main template. So this template where we tell it what it's going to do, and then we're going to pass in the human one. So we say human, and we're going to pass in our human template. This creates a prompt that we can query. The next thing we're going to do is we need to create our model or initialize our model. So we're going to say constant chat equals new chat. We'll use the chat OpenAI. I think that's the new API that LangChain has now. So we're going to set our temperature to 0, and temperature, essentially what that does is it lets us control how well the AI stays in in the role or how it gets creative. And then we'll say open API key and open API, open AI API key, and that's a mouthful. And in this, we're going to say our OpenAI key that we got here. So we need to import this to, and where we're going to get this is, this is going to live in langchain chat model. So we'll require this from langchain, and we're going to say chat models. Inside our chat models, we'll look for the one from OpenAI. So this gives us access to everything that we need. So this is the API key, this is the temperature, and that's that. Some people like to do like a 0.7, some people do 0.1. I'm just going to leave it to 0. Let's stay in character. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create memory. Remember, we want our AI to be able to remember things. So I'm going to import what we call our buffer window memory. And it's a little bit more complex than you think, but just assume that what this is going to do is it gives us a buffer window to be able to remember things as we pass this to our chain. So this is going to be in memory, and I didn't finish. This is buffer window memory. And once we have this, what we're going to do is create a new memory. And when we create a new memory, we'll say type of buffer window. There is conversational buffer window. There are different types of memory. And then we have K, which is how much we want our AI to remember. So we can do 1, 2, 3, as much as memory allows. For now, let's leave it as 1. We can increase it as the case might be. After that, the next thing we want to do is we're going to create our chain. So what chains are basically the same thing as of chains, a bunch of commands or things tied together where you could throw in a prompt, a prompter model, or a bunch of prompter models, and even do complex decisions, and it will run it through a chain to give you a response. So to create that, I'm going to import the same thing. We call it a large language model chain, and we're going to require this from langchain chains. So, and once we have this, the next thing we're going to do is initialize our chain, and our chain needs a language model, which is this chat model we've created. So we're using the OpenAI ones. If you wanted to use the Llama ones, you could do that. I'm just using this because it's super simple and easy to set up. So we do the same thing for prompt, and we pass in our chat prompt. So this is what's going to be passed into the chain. And then for memory, we're going to pass in the memory we just created. And essentially, this is all we need. We've created basically everything we need to get this done. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a model that we can call and eventually export. So we can say export get AI response. Make it this just so it looks nice. We'll say get AI response. And essentially what this function is going to do, let's export this, is going to call this chain. So we're going to say, and also I want this to be asynchronous, just because our chain is going to be an async method. And we can say our result here is going to await a call to this chain, and we're going to say predict. We could use call, we could use predict, and all we want to do is we're going to give it a chat input. So, and just to understand why we're giving it chat input, if we look at here for our templates, we're expecting chat input, we're expecting history. History is going to be handled by memory, but for chat input, we're going to say this. So in here, we're going to get our, let's call it user message. And user message is going to be what our user sends into this method. So whatever we get from our Telegram bot, we'll pass in here. And this is what we're going to throw in here and pass to the entire chain. And the AI is going to come up with a response for it. And then based on of that response, we're going to return a reply, right? So we'll return a result, and that result is going to be the response of what the user says. So now that we've created this, the next step would be to import this in our code and use it to run some predictions. So I have gone ahead and changed this instead of export to module exports, just because we're using require here and we're not using the new ES6. So what we're going to do here is the same thing we did above. We're going to get this, and we're going to require our AI, which is here. And once we do that, the next thing we want to do is get our response. So here we're going to say constant, we're going to get our response, and our response is going to await a call to get response, and we'll take in a text. And based on what we get, we're going to send back to the user. But then this shows us that the function is not async, so we can make that async by adding this here. And if we save that and run our application, we should test this and see what happens. I'll go ahead and run our app, npm run dev, and our bot is running. So we go back to our chat and we're going to say hi, and hopefully we get a response. So we do get a response. It says, hey there, how are you doing today? I've missed talking to you. And we can say, oh, that's nice. Same here. And we should send that back and get a reply. I'm so glad to hear that. It's nice to know that you've been thinking of me. And this is it. So the only thing we need to do is we see that it adds the tag AI girlfriend. We can trim this out by removing this as part of the text, or we can let it be. But essentially, this is how you create a chatbot that uses ChatGPT or an OpenAI model to converse. If you do want me to take this further by making it reply with images, voice messages, and whatnot, feel free to leave that in the comments or send me a message, and I'll be glad to make a video showcasing that. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please don't hesitate to like or subscribe and add